Good morning, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. This is Rich again, back for your first video blog of the day for Tuesday, July 26th, 2016, around 7:07 in the morning, Billerica, Massachusetts. Going to be a very sunny day out, more heat and humidity, but dry in the low 90s. No pop-up thunder showers today, which is not that good because we definitely would need the rain. I heard drought conditions could go on into the early fall. Some news to report: the Detroit Tigers beat the Boston Red Sox by the score of 4-2. This Spinners game against West Virginia was rained out, so they'll be playing a doubleheader today. Like the late Ernie Banks said, let's play two. And that's about it on the news. My first video blog subject of the day is about the top 10 worst storylines and angles in professional wrestling history. There's been a lot of bad story angles and storylines angles in the past 100 years in professional wrestling, but these are the worst of the worst, in my humble opinion. Number 10 on this list, the Vince McMahon God angle in 2006. Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon were feuding with Shawn Michaels around like WrestleMania 22 time period, and Vince McMahon was faking a prayer ceremony with his family before his match with Shawn Michaels. And the night after WrestleMania 22, Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon announced Shawn was going to be facing God. They would be facing Shawn Michaels and God at a tag team match at the next pay-per-view, and then they had Vince McMahon at a church doing the fake prayer service. And then when they came down to like the match they had at the pay-per-view, they had like a light coming down. He thought that was God. This was a very awful storyline, kind of a little bit offensive, because God's not gonna show up because he's not a real person. Number 9 on this list of the worst storyline angles in professional wrestling history, the Masked Man being revealed as Brutus the Barber Beefcake in 1994, attacking Hulk Hogan. Around the Clash of the Champions 1994, there was a masked wrestler who attacked Hulk Hogan and took out his knee. Later on in that night, when Hulk Hogan was facing off against Ric Flair, defending the WCW World Championship, the Masked Man came back and attacked Jimmy Hart and Hulk Hogan. And at Fall Brawl 94, the Masked Man attacked Sting, and then when Hulk Hogan retired Ric Flair, it was the masked wrestler came back, and Hogan got him, and he unmasked him, and it was his friend Brutus the Barber Beefcake. This was like a very bad storyline, in my humble opinion. The payoff was awful because there was rumors the masked wrestler man attacking Hulk Hogan was going to be played by Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. The masked wrestlers who attacked previously were either Arn Anderson or Steve Kern. But this was a horrible storyline and angle because Brutus the Barber Beefcake was not a full-time wrestler. He was Christian the Butcher, and the WCW fans had to go through 2 months of a Hogan Butcher feud in late 1994. Number 8 on this list of the worst storylines angles of all time, in my humble opinion, in professional wrestling. Vince McMahon embarrassing Jim Ross. This angle storyline started in October 2005 when Linda McMahon fired Jim Ross and kicked him below the belt. Jim Ross was legitimately going to take time off because he had to have part of his colon removed because it was cancerous. And then a few weeks later, Vince McMahon had a segment with them doing an operation, and next thing you know, Jim Ross's head comes up. Well, it's like a mask with it. It was very distasteful and disgusting. This angle was dropped immediately. It should have played out with Jim Ross coming back and going through one of the McMahons becoming more and more vicious, and then when he faces off against Vince McMahon refuses to wrestle him, and then and stuff like that. Number 7 on this list of the worst storyline angles of all time: the greater power in the WWE. This is when the corporate ministry was kind of red hot, and they had a druid come down and attack Steve Austin, and a few weeks later, the greater power turned out to be Vince McMahon, which was, very awful, because Austin McMahon feud lasted a year. We didn't have to go through it again. The real person who should have played the greater power was Jake the Snake Roberts, because Austin's big time run started at the King of the Ring 1996 when he beat Jake the Snake Roberts in the finals of the King of the Ring to become the new King of the Ring, and that's Austin 316 got started. But Jake the Snake Roberts was not in the right mind back then. He still had his demons, and I think they didn't really trust Jake, but if Jake was clean, he would have been perfect for this role. We got a continuation of the McMahon Austin feud, which we didn't really need. Number 6 on this list of the top 10 worst story angles and storylines angles from professional wrestling history: the Sumo Monster Truck match between Hulk Hogan and the Giant at Halloween Havoc 1995. It just was just awful, with going through the monster trucks, and at the end Hogan winning and the Giant attacking him on the roof of the Cobo Hall, and then Hogan ducking and the Giant falls down. He thought he killed the Giant. It was probably an awful storyline. It was actually taped the night before Halloween Havoc, and later on in the night Hulk Hogan wrestled the Giant, and the Giant somehow mysteriously is alive. Was awful. This is when WCW was at its worst. Number 5 on this list of the worst storyline / angles in professional wrestling history: the NWA returning in 1998 to WWE television with Jim Cornette. This was an embarrassing way for the WWE, for Jim Cornette. He had the Rock and Roll Express, the New Midnight Express, Barry Windham, Dan the Beast Severn, Jeff Jarrett. It was just awful. It was just, what was it to prove, because the NWA was very, very awful. Number 4 on this list of the worst storyline / angles in professional wrestling history: the fake Razor Ramon, the fake Diesel in the WWE in 1996. This happened when Razor Ramon and Diesel left for the WCW, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, and then a month later Jim Ross says that Big Daddy Cool, Diesel, and the bad guy Razor Ramon were coming back to the WWE, but it was a big disappointment because it was a fake Razor and a fake Diesel. The fake Razor was Rick Borgen, some journeyman wrestler, and the fake Diesel was Dr. Isaac Yankem, DDS, and eventually became Kane. And Jim Ross shooted on the WWE, saying, outing Vince McMahon as the egotistical owner. I think the storyline was going to go to WrestleMania 13 with Vince McMahon facing off against Jim Ross for the control of the WWE. Jim Ross was going to win the match, and with help from the fake Razor Ramon and the fake Diesel, but the fans did not buy the fake Razor Ramon or the fake Diesel, and this was dropped a few months later. Number 3 on this list of the worst story angles in professional wrestling history, David Arquette wins the WCW World Championship in 2000. This was to promote the movie Ready to Rumble, which was WCW produced, starring David Arquette. And David Arquette's an actor, not a wrestler. He beats like Jeff Jarrett for the WCW World Title at WCW Thunder. Holds it about a week, and he loses it back in a triple cage match. And this probably destroyed the WCW belt once and for all. Number 2 on this list of the worst storylines and angles in professional wrestling history, Vince McMahon's fake death angle in 2007 during Vince McMahon Appreciation Night on Raw in June 2007. All the WWE superstars, past and present, would have video vignettes and then segments. Vince McMahon was mad, and when he goes into the limousine blows up, and the storyline was going to play out. He was really dead, but you couldn't really have that because WWE's a publicly traded company. But this storyline was kiboshed because of the real life death of Chris Benoit a couple weeks later, with him murdering his family and killing himself. We won't go there. Number 1 on this list of the worst storylines / angles in professional wrestling history, Fritz Von Erich faking a heart attack in 1987 during this Christmas Day show for World Class Championship Wrestling at Union Arena. World Class Championship Wrestling, by the time 1987 rolled around, was in dire straits due to some tragedies in the Von Erich family and other tragedies with other wrestlers, plus the very expanding WWE and Jim Crockett promotions running across the country. Many top talent left World Class Championship Wrestling. He had to rely on his remaining sons, Kevin Von Erich, who was basically, getting distant from the wrestling business, and Kerry Von Erich, who came back from a motorcycle accident. He was in no shape to wrestle, but miraculously, he was put in the ring. He wrestled on a fake foot the final years of his life, which people never found out publicly until after he passed away. And just to save his wrestling company from folding, the Fabulous Freebirds was brought back, which was Buddy Jack Roberts and Terry Gordy. They didn't, minus Michael PSAs at the time, because he was in Jim Crockett Promotions. They had the Angel of Death and Iceman King Parsons joined the Fabulous Freebirds. They were they attacked Kerry Von Erich when he was supposed to wrestle El Perez in the main event for the World Class Heavyweight Championship, and then Fritz Von Erich comes in and that puts the Iron Claw on Buddy Roberts, but then Iceman King Parsons, the Angel of Death, and Terry Bam Bam Gordy attack Fritz Von Erich, and they were carrying him outside the ring, and then he goes down and fakes a heart attack, and one of the Dallas television stations said, another Von Erich tragedy. Fritz Von Erich, at the age of 58, passed away. They were all duped because this was a wrestling storyline. It was, very distasteful, and this storyline lasted several months, and the Friday cards at the Sportatorium in 1988, they would give weekly updates on Fritz's condition. If the Sportatorium was a sellout, they said he was getting better and better, and almost going to get out of the hospital, but if it was getting bad with no fans or very little friends, he's on his deathbed, and then every time he was on his deathbed, he said to support World Class Championship Wrestling. This storyline continued for several months until Fritz von Erich sold World Class Championship Wrestling, but it was maybe a desperate attempt to get fans interested in World Class Championship Wrestling. It was, dying anyway. And that's about it on that. I'll be back later. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google Plus. 2 more video blogs. One will be about the former Boston radio show, The Sports Header, with Eddie Anderman, Mark Whitten, and Jim McCarthy. And the third and final video blog of the night is my take on debt. Keep calm, everybody. And I'm a Jude Lebetti guy. Molly Rosemel of WCCO Roxanne has nice legs. Elizabeth Hetzel, so stunning, she's the best. Amy Sweezy is awesome Amy. Linda Church of WPX Channel 11 in New York is such a cougar, and she rocks. And Barbara Gibbs of ABC 11 has that sweet Southern accent. And in the worlds of Dr. Thomas Sharkey, this action will not be tolerated at BMHS. Good day.